Some people think that thinking is all about memory. So when memory goes, as with dementia, then all faculties are gone. And some dementia residents as well think this, unless educated otherwise. That is, except the confident readers. They're in another category. They know full well that their faculties are not all gone, because they can read, they can understand, they can learn, they can think, they can communicate, and many of them also do crosswords. So those readers that have that confidence in their own thinking, they know their faculties aren't gone. And so with that confidence, they garner that to communicate, to commune, to converse, to uplift and inspire other dementia residents in a big way in dementia units. So reading is a very valuable and important exercise. One woman who I worked with in the dementia unit, she was a very confident person. She'd been a school teacher, as many of the readers are. And she used to go around saying, "What? I don't have dementia." And in a sense, you could see why she thought that. I mean, she read well. She spoke well, she was articulate, she could do crosswords, fill out everything, get the whole score correct. So to her, what was the problem? But of course, she had direction orientation loss. She could never tell you where her room was. She could never find her room, even though she'd been there a year. So because of that direction orientation loss and problems with orientation, she needed to be at the unit. But in terms of her thinking capacity, and her ability to communicate and read, she was very good. But she did have a confidence. That's the thing. She was a very confident person. As she said, "I never let anything beat me." And she didn't. She was partly deaf, partly blind, but still she managed to get about, get her reading material from here and there. She'd garner anybody, to get whatever reading material was around. Her family didn't bring her in very much. So she'd make sure that whatever was about, she'd get it. So because of that confidence and that ability to sort of go, do it yourself, nothing in the way will stop me type mentality, she was able to forge ahead and did very well. Now, there was another woman of a similar cognitive ability. She was also a former school teacher, but she was quiet, more reserved, and she didn't have the same level of confidence. She could read, but she chose not to. She'd lost the wish and the will somehow. She'd let not that she'd let it, but in a sense, the other woman hadn't let the stigma and prejudice get her down, whereas this woman had been affected by it, because she did say to me at one point that, she sat down. I was sitting with her at the window seat one day having a chat, and I was just asking her opinion actually about dementia, and when there are dementia blanks, what do people go through? Because she'd just had one, and she was able to explain to me that, that it was a fuzzy, that the spinning mind, and then everything just went blank, particularly the blank and not knowing what's going on. And she was explaining to me about that, and I thanked her for it. And then she said to me, "Nobody asks us our opinion." And I thought, imagine that, nobody asks you your opinion. And she had a very lovely daughter, a lovely grandson, but apparently they weren't asking her opinion, because they must have thought that she wasn't thinking to a degree to be able to give an opinion. So anyway, she joined in all the workshops. She was a big contributor. She thought well, she thought things through, but she didn't read. She didn't get to the reading. I asked her a number of times whether she'd like to read, but she just said, "Oh, no, dear, it's okay." So, but she did think. So there's different ways of garnering this cognition. Reading's a really good way of getting cognition, because then you can get 3-4 hours of good cognition from 3-4 hours of reading, whereas to get 3-4 hours of independent thinking going on, you've got to be pretty disciplined. Excuse me. So this is the way that reading helps. It's a great faculty, and it inspires others in the dementia unit as well. When they see others reading, then they'll also make an effort to read the magazines, and so books are a bit difficult, but magazines and articles in the newspaper. So this woman in particular, she didn't come in with a lot of books and crosswords, but because she had a beaverish sort of a manner, she was able to garner it from all places. She'd ask people outright, if you've got any magazines or crosswords, if I can have them, basically. And she did. People did give them to her. But not all of us have that forthright sort of a personality. But if you're not planning to come into a dementia unit, no one plans for that, but if you're about to be admitted to a facility, or your mother or father is about to be admitted to a facility, and they're a big reader and they enjoy crosswords, bring in a library for them, because chances are there won't be one at the unit. Bring in a bookcase, and on that put the library, the crosswords, the books, the magazines, plenty of pens for the crosswords, a few pens in each drawer, so that if they go missing, there's some spares. Set the person up as a priority, really as a priority, so that they have that interest, that pleasure, that cognitive engagement with their reading that they've always loved. It will really carry them through the experience of living at a dementia unit. It's wonderful reading, such a blessing. So I've written on all these subjects in the two books, The Resident's Voice from a Dementia Unit and The Resident's Rise, both on Amazon and in my website description below. So thank you for your support and likes, and please subscribe. Thank you.